How's
I'm
things? All
literally,
right.
I'm literally sat on eBay
Oh,
looking at
yeah.
a kid's quad for Christmas. Oh,
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, mate, don't take it the wrong way, but I wish you were my dad. Your boy seems to have a whale of a time.
oh, mate, my bloody garage has got more of his stuff in it than mine. That's like, yeah, little
Fantastic.
shit.
I just watched your Osset bike vid
Oh,
today down
yeah,
at the quarry. Yeah, God, that looked a hoot. Looked a hoot. You could see him growing in confidence throughout the day. It was
yeah.
brilliant.
He's a little bit more. He's a good mixture of me and Christy. I think he's a good 50-50. He's a little bit more like Christy when it comes to trying things. She's a lot shyer than me.
Yeah,
So he's and then once he does it and he thinks he can do it, then
yeah,
he's full of beans. He turns
yeah,
into
yeah.
and then yeah, so it's yeah, he's interesting.
Yeah, you could see him weighing stuff up. Eh? Like there was,
Yeah,
I think, was it going up a little an incline? He was like,
yeah,
"No, I don't want to do that." And then he watched
yeah,
you do it a few times, and then woof, off he goes.
yeah. Yeah,
Brilliant.
he'll happily send me in as a test dummy and then see what happens.
Awesome, mate. Are you happy just to crack on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
good.
lovely job. I don't know if you know the format. I don't know if you've seen any of these, but it's dead chilled out. It's like we
Yeah.
were down the pub. In fact, I've got a couple of beers here. I don't know if you drink or whatever, but feel free.
I don't well, I do drink, but I drink to get fucking drunk. I have no real interest in like having two drinks. If I go to
Yeah,
the pub, I go to the pub to like
yeah,
drink. So I
yeah.
don't drink that often, but when I do, I'm normally in a mess. I don't know if that's classed as a problem or not a problem. But it's,
I got to be honest. I used to be the same. Well, I couldn't just do one or two beers. It was either nothing or like a full on binge. But yeah, like I do.
I quite like wine, but my wife doesn't really drink at all, and I can't open a bottle of wine and then drink a bottle of wine. I could probably have two glasses, and I enjoy that. But then if it's open, like you can't leave it open, can you? So it's like yeah,
Be
so I just
rude.
yeah, yeah, that's what I think.
All right, well, let's just crack on then. So, folks, if you're watching, if you're listening to this, welcome back to Bru Time. Lee Johnston. Mate, it's great to have you along. Thank you very much for coming on for a chat, mate. Much appreciated.
No, I'm good. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, how long do you have? I should have asked this before we actually started today. How long have you got?
Oh no, you're fine. Tear away. Yeah, little. I've come out. This is why I'm in. I'm not sat here to show off these. I'm literally sat on a deck, not a deck chair, but my garage chair. My laptop's sitting on a garage chair in a box in front of me because there's a 6-year-old in the house going absolutely mental, wanting me to build Lego. So, yeah, this wouldn't be possible if we weren't out here.
No dramas. Well, I'm home alone at the moment. My missus is away. So I have a very needy dog and a cat that got run over a couple of weeks ago and has got the right arse. So, yeah, that my door might open with some annoyed animals at some point, but we can deal with that. Right. Okay, Lee, can I pass the floor over to you, pal? So, like, obviously you're Lee Johnston, but like, how'd you get into bikes? How'd you get to where you are just now? And what is it that you do? That's a question.
Yeah, so yeah, my name's Lee Johnson. I'm a motorcycle racer. Although the last 2 years would say I'm more of a watcher of motorcycles on the sofa. But yeah, I just say motorcycle racer because the question I get asked more than anything else in the world is, are you a road racer or are you a circuit racer? And it's like irritates the life out of me because it's the same bike and it's the same people you're normally racing and things like that. So yeah, I'm a motorcycle racer. I got into it because of my dad, like most people. My dad didn't race, but he was just really into motorbikes. Like we used to go watch motorbikes and all them things. But weirdly, I started really late. I played football up until the point I think I was a 14 or 15. And honestly, I was probably better at football than I am at riding a motorbike. So I wish to God I had stayed doing that because all my mates that are footballers now earn a hell of a lot more money than I do. I wish I had stayed doing that, and the risk factor is slightly lower as well. You can sprain your fingernail and you can get taken off the pitch. So it's yeah, that would be better. But yeah, I love. I'm very very lucky to be able to say something that I dreamed about when I was a kid is my job. So yeah, I'm very very lucky.
So what sort of age did you get into racing it? Because you only recently got your road license, is that right?
people. Yeah, I got my license about 3 years ago. I
Yeah.
borrowed a friend's bike. I basically did one lesson, and they've got like an earpiece in, which is great. So we were there out for like 3 hours, and it's bloody expensive. Like bike lessons are expensive. And this guy, he literally said, I think I forgot my indicator once and something else. And in
Mhm.
my head, I was like, that's me ready for the test. I'm like, this is it. Because the test's only like 30 quid. So I thought, I'll do 10 of them. And that's cheaper than another lesson. So I got back and I was like, all right, that's it. And he goes, oh no, next time we'll work on this. And I was like, you haven't said anything though. You've not. And he was like, oh well. So I just fobbed it off, borrowed my mate's bike, went and booked my test, took it there in the van, and just pulled it out. And the guy doing the test thing was like, he was like, where's your instructor? And I was like, I don't have one. I said, I've just come on my own. He goes, oh well, people normally come with an instructor. And I was like, well, he can't do the test, can he? I was like, what's the point in bringing? I had to pay him another 150 quid or something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, folks, this week we have a new episode sponsor. We welcome on board Conqueror's Motorcycle Apparel. If you've been watching any of the tour vids, you've more than likely seen Sam on there. Sam is the owner of Conqueror's Apparel, based down in St Leonard's. It's a great shop, stocked to the gunnels with cracking kit from all the big brands. Get yourself onto the website, which is conquerorsapparel.co.uk, or if you're down in the southeast, head down to St Leonard's and pop in. He might even make you a coffee, but watch the shelf. Either way, if you use the code, wait for it, Fisters10, yes, Fisters10, don't ask, you might even get 10% off. Massive thanks to Conqueror's Motorcycle Apparel for their support. A big shout to Ultimate Add-ons for their continued support. Ultimate Add-ons provide cases for your phones. They're dustproof, they're shockproof, they're waterproof. I've been using their kit for years now. I think 2017, something like that was when I first started using them. They're brilliant. They allow me to use my phone on just about any bike out there. There's pretty much always a way I can get the phone attached to the handlebars or somewhere on the bike, and then I can use that as my navigation. And the Ultimate Add-ons cases just mean that my phone's kept nice and safe. I've had no issues with vibration affecting the cameras. Great bits of kit. They also do action camera mounts. They'll do heated grips. They do balaclavas. They do all sorts. USB and USB-C power adapters for your bike. Loads and loads of different things there. If you head to ultimateaddons.com, you can check out everything they've got on offer there on the website. And if you use the code TeapotOne10, TeapotOne with the number 10, you'll get 10% off. Massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons.
So I think that threw him off a little bit, but I got one minor for going too slow because I stayed after a school. I stayed in a 20 and didn't go back to a 30. And I think I maybe got one minor for something else. So yeah, I was chuffed to bits. I would tell you what, I was more nervous doing that than I was setting off down Bray Hill.
Bugger off, no way.
Oh, yeah, because it was like the hardest part for me is they've got the weird, like they make you use four fingers on the brake, and I've never used four fingers on the brake in my life. And he was obsessed with using the back brake, and I was like, why? He was teaching me things that like were the polar opposite to what I would be using. So yeah, that was hard. And then obviously using mirrors and stuff like that there because I've never had to do any of that. So yeah, I was glad to get it because. And then people laugh at me, I think, now in the last few episodes I've done on this adventure bike. Like, things like I'd never rode on the motorway on a motorbike. I never rode in the dark on a road until the last weekend was on the Isle of Man. I've done a 24-hour race, but I've never rode a bike on the road in the dark. Like, so things like that. I think people think I'm taking the piss a little bit, but it's fact. Like I've literally been programmed into this one thing, and that's all I've done for the last sort of 15 years. So
did the instructor and the test guy surely they must have, I don't want to sound wanky, but they must have known who you are, surely.
I think the guy that did my CBT did. Yeah, but the guy doing the test, I don't think so. I think because I was literally there late signed on, and you have to think, unless you're into, there's a lot of motorbike people that aren't really into racing, especially nowadays. Do you know what I mean? The whole adventure craze and all that. So,
I suppose,
and yeah, I was quite happy the fact that he didn't, because I thought, oh, he's just going to try and, well, it goes one or two ways. They'll do you a favor or
Aye,
they'll try to do you over.
aye.
So
I
yeah, I
suppose
was
it's less pressure as well, isn't it?
yeah,
In a sense. Obviously, you're going to pile a load of pressure on yourself, but
yeah,
yeah, I get you.
yeah. Just don't tell anyone that you went through test.
So what sort of age were you then when you started your racing then?
So I didn't start racing till I was 14, 15. I had bikes right from a kid. I had little field bikes and just normal things, got chased by
Yeah.
the police and stuff, doing things that you shouldn't be doing up until that point. And then one of my friends was racing mini motos at the time. He's actually a British champion as well, Josh Elliott. He's the only other
Oh.
bike racer sort of from my area at that time before Richard Britton. So his dad and my dad were friends, and then I went to watch him. I went to try it, and I had a go, and I thought, oh, this is good. And yeah, I was sort of accidentally quite good straight away. So it's like anything in life, innit? If you're sort of good at it, you're more interested in doing it. So yeah, it sort of snowballed pretty quick. I did a year of that. We didn't know anything about two strokes, so we couldn't buy a 125. So we had to just buy a 600. So I'd only ever rode a mini moto and then got a 600. Did a year of that in Ireland, and then come over to England then, and straight into the British Championship, and then won it the year after. So yeah,
Straight into the British Championships.
yeah, I've never. I get people asking me at track days like, oh, how would I go from a track day to like a club race or anything? And I've got no idea, because I've never done a club race in England. I literally come over and went straight to the junior superstock. So I've never.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've never done any. I've never done any club racing, so I don't really know. And I think people look at me and go, "Oh, I can't be arse telling me," but I genuinely don't.
Wow. Where do you think that came from then? Where do you think that sort of feel and understanding for the bike and for racing? Where's that come from? Just watching your dad, or?
No, definitely my mum. My dad was useless, so no, I don't know. And I wasn't even like, people laugh when you say you're like a road racer. They think you're brave, and I'm not really even a brave person. When some of my mates growing up were mad, like they would do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was my sort of level of bravery, of having mates like that. So I don't think I'm necessarily brave or necessarily calculated or anything. I think maybe just a mixture of all. I think, and it was want. I think is one of the. That's what I say to any parent or anything I see now. They're like, oh, he's really good and everything. And I was like, yeah, but has he had a big crash yet, or has she had a big crash, and what did they do straight after? And
yeah,
you can't teach one. Do you know what I mean? That has to be in somebody. And I think you can put people in the direction of any sport or anything, but the second that somebody gets hurt or it's really hard and everything, someone pushing you will never put you through that. You have to have this inner want, I think, to do that. And yeah, I think the fear of having to go and get a real job outweighed all of them things. So that's why I was yeah. And I just loved it. Like that's why even through all the stuff I've been through lately, I still love riding my motorbike. Do you know what I mean? I've got no resentment for what's happened or anything. It's like I can't turn that off, unfortunately.
It's life, isn't it? It's just it's part. It's the lifestyle you've chosen, and it's part of that life, isn't it? So yeah, as you said, you either let it get in the way or you deal with it.
Yeah, I actually said that to one time I was in hospital or something, and somebody was like, not bad mouthing motorbikes and stuff, or they were saying something negative, and I was like, I feel so sorry for people that there's people in the world that are never going to experience that feeling of. I know everybody's like, I like going really fast, but even when I was out on the adventure bike and stuff, that sheer feeling of freedom and cruising along and your phone's not ringing or no one's annoying you, or you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, there's millions of people who are never going to feel that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one of those things that either grabs you like crack, doesn't it, or it just doesn't do it for you. It'll put you off. But I remember I was very late coming to bikes. I was 32 when I passed my test, and I'd never ridden a bike before. It'd been something that I'd always thought about, but my mom in particular was very anti-bike growing up.
we passed our bike test around the same age. Then we're pretty much similar.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. I've been to the Isle of Man, so I suppose we are quite similar. Yeah. But I remember, I'll never forget, even that CBT. You know, I'm a big fat lump. I'm 6'3", 20 odd stone, and I remember chucking my leg over the little 125 for the CBT and going like 20, 25 mile an hour on the road, and just thinking, "Fuck yes, this is it. This has got me." And I remember jumping on the 500 and going for my first road ride on that and just thinking, Jesus. And then once I passed my test, my first bike was a Gixxer 600. I remember picking that up and riding on the M25, doing like 55 mile an hour in the slow lane, thinking I was doing like 150. God, Jesus, it was like, holy shit. But, loved it. What a bus.
My biggest problem was because I had obviously only ever raced on the road.
Yeah.
That I don't know why I would never, like, I drive slow in the car and everybody thinks because you do this that you do everything fast. I'm like old Miss Daisy. But I think it's when you put your helmet on, and I'd only ever raced on the road. So like I went out then, did a little bit of riding, and I'd be like on the wrong side of the road. Like it was just I have to really concentrate. It's not as bad now. I've stopped. But like at the start for the first few miles, like everywhere I went, I'd just go, oh, that's my brain just automatically seen the line of where I should go for like the fastest way through. So yeah, luckily I've managed to stay alive long enough for having hit anything coming the other way. But yeah, that was actually the hardest part for me. Like, not and just veer across the road.
Gotcha. I need to address this, folks. Lee, I don't know if you know, but your internet connection every now and then, your speech sort of, you sound a little bit like a Dalek, but it's only every now and then. So, folks, bear with us. Yeah. Just bear with us. It's intermittent. Yes. It's intermittent.
I might put another pound in the meter. It says I've got full thing. So sorry about that, guys.
No, don't worry about it. No worries. I get it all the time. Don't worry. Yeah, I was just thinking when you were talking there, have you done anything with the likes of Bike Safe and people like that? Have you ever done that?
So we do a little bit. They come to the Northwest 200, like off the back of the police. We have to do stuff for the local police or the local community. And I feel it's a little bit weird because we're like talking about Bike Safe, and then the next day we're doing 210 mile an hour on the same road. So it's like, I think they do it to try and make people realize this is not what you're supposed to do. So it's like, but no, not really. And honestly, my lack of knowledge will really surprise a lot of people, I think, of.
But I'm just thinking for your YouTube channel, because I've been watching a lot of your YouTube channel, and I'm not blowing smoke up your arse here. It genuinely is really good. You know, like I love the vlog style format. Is it Christy? Is it your missus that does the editing?
Yeah, my wife. Yeah, she does everything.
Really good, really good. It's nice and dynamic. It's like Casey Neistat sort of format. It's really good. I'm loving it. And I just thought when you said there about the different lines, like the racing perspective compared with now riding on the roads as a general road user. Bike Safe, I don't know if you know, I'm an ex-copper. I used to be a copper down in London, so I've done loads of stuff with Bike Safe. And they would bite your hand off to do some work with you on your channel. I'm almost 100% sure of that. So if you want, I can put you in touch with people if you want. And it believe it or not, it's very popular content. I've got some vids that have done really well.
Would I get a uniform?
They might let you ride the police bike. You could maybe swing that.
God, so I would love to. I watch them guys.
That's a buzz. That is a buzz.
I would love to just arrest somebody, or especially somebody that you knew. The joy of pulling up the side and like arresting someone because they wouldn't see you with the helmet on. I feel bad for saying this, but I would get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
You wouldn't, not when you see the paperwork you've got to do, mate. It's ridiculous. It's insane. I wouldn't recommend nicking anybody. We're also supported by the Influencer Store. I'll read out their blurb. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Now, I've been using the Influencer Store to handle all my merch pretty much for the last 4 years now. If you head to my website, TeapotOne.com, if you go to the store there, the shop where all the merch is, that's all handled by the Influencer Store. And if you buy anything from there, you're also helping me out and helping to support the podcast. So a massive thanks to them. Lastly, a huge shout out to each one of you, everyone that's listening to the podcast, everyone that watches on YouTube, everyone that watches the normal vids over on the TeapotOne channel. Just by watching the vids, by giving it a little thumbs up, sharing, commenting, things like that, you really do help the channel out. You help to boost it up in the algorithm. If you share it amongst your friends, that is a massive win. That's a huge win at the moment. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, if it's something like Apple or Spotify, a couple of other ones, you're actually able now to rate the podcast, whether that's leaving like a 5-star review or a thumbs up or commenting or leaving a comment on each episode. All these things really do help to boost the podcast up in the rankings. So if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. And to every single one of you over in the clan, patreon.com/TeapotOne, I literally couldn't do this without all your support. So a huge thank you from me. Right, let's get back to the podcast. Right, so like the road racing then. So, I mean, when did you move into road racing then? Because obviously you were doing short circuit. When did you move into the road racing stuff?
I come to British Championship first. My memory's really bad. I'm sorry I think it's the sheer volume of bangs on the head.
Yeah.
But I did British Championship from 08. Yeah, 08. Right through till about, I think I started road racing in 2012. So went to Northwest. Then me and Dean Harrison were newcomers. I think it was the Ulster Grand Prix. He'd already been to the TT, but like we battled at the Ulster Grand Prix for like the newcomers race, and we obviously didn't know each other, and then then become good friends after that. So then I sort of dove straight into road racing and went away from British Championship. I got a little bit of, at the time when I was coming through in British Championship, like we come from nothing. Like my mum still lives in the same 3-bed semi that we grew up in and stuff like that. And honestly, I was like, I scraped through on the end of, if you were good enough, you got a ride. Do you know what I mean? You didn't have to bring £100,000 like you have to do now. So if I had been another 2 or 3 years later, I never ever would have made it as a motorbike racer. I was really lucky. I won the British Championship, and then the next year we signed for a team, Raceways, Yamaha, Steve Rogers, like that was McCann's now. Really, really, and we're still really good friends now. He's like one of the most genuine, honest people in motorcycle racing in England. Signed for him. He knew that we had nothing, proper helped us along, and then had 2 or 3 other teams after that. But even at that point, there was kids coming in with loads of money and getting slightly better rides, and I just got frustrated. And I says, "Oh, let's go road racing." And I just fell in love with it straight away. The fact that you could, it sounds unprofessional saying this, but you could go to the Northwest, practice Tuesday, go out Tuesday night, get absolutely steaming, have a great time, do nothing Wednesday, then ride again Thursday, and then the same on Saturday again. And it was like, the environment and the people, and it's not so much like that now. There's so much pressure and money involved, but it was like the respect's still there. That there's no respect in British Championship now for maybe some of the top bike riders, but any other class outside of that, like I don't care who finishes 10th or 15th or anything. But if I was at the TT, if I was lucky enough to get into the winner's enclosure and the guy coming in 40th was coming past, I would clap him as he went past. I mean, and I would genuinely mean it. Not that it's a sympathy thing. It's like I have as much respect for him as who was standing on the podium with me. So I think when I went road racing, I completely fell out of love with British Championship. And then when I was road racing quite a while, I realised you needed to do British Championship as well. And I sort of dived in and out. And then there'd be like people beat me, and I thought, oh, I used to beat him. Or I was like, and because I wasn't committed to it or taking it seriously, and all these guys were. And then it's only in recent years that I went, right, I'm going to actually, have a go at this again. And then unfortunately, the year that I decided that was when I had my big crash and won some races at the start of the year in the British Championship. So we were leading the championship, and then it all went Pete's home. But so I thought I sort of went full circle and back to really wanting to be in the British Championship again. I suppose because I'd made a name, and then I was warranting decent rides and stuff. And life's a lot easier when you've got good people around you, good bikes, good sponsors.
What sort of, if you don't mind me asking, if this isn't too personal, if it is, just tell me. But what impact is like getting married and having your boy? What impact does that have on you, particularly for road racing? Does it come into your psyche at all?
Yeah, I don't think it didn't. It didn't at all. Honestly, I don't know if you've interviewed other racers on here, but we're selfish pricks. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a fact. But my wife knew that when she married me, and I don't think it ever entered my head or anything until like the last big crash.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a child or whatever, like that's the one thing in the world you want to protect more than anything. It's like, you know what I mean? And when that child comes to you, and like no 4-year-old really should understand about people dying or listen to like, and it was nobody's fault, but obviously when I died at the Northwest, but people would then talk about it and he would hear that. And I think then you think, holy shit, like this shouldn't, stuff like this, because this one thing that you're trying to protect, all of a sudden the thing that you do is the thing that's like
putting them in harm's way, so to speak.
And it shouldn't, I don't think until that point it's ever bothered me, whereas and then that did. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that was because at that time mentally I wasn't in a good place. I was very, very sore on a lot of drugs, and not the fun ones, the ones the doctor gives. So I don't think it had ever, up until Jesse was at that point, because life was good. We were winning, things were great. He loves coming. Do you know what I mean? He loves coming to the race and bombing around on his little bike and stuff like that there. So until that point, that had never entered my head. Yeah,
I've had a couple of racers come on the podcast, Peter Hickman and people like that, and they've all been in the situation where they haven't got a family as yet, and as you said, it takes a very, I think any successful person, you have to be selfish to quite an extent, and you have to be driven and self-focused, don't you, for the task at hand. And for something like what you're doing, particularly road racing, the consequences of it going wrong are terminal, aren't they, really, at the end of the day? So but you can't focus on that, can you? That if you focus on that or too aware, I would imagine, of that, you're not gonna be giving it your all, so to speak. I would have thought. The
one thing it's always baffled my brain. Like I've got an understanding of or the way my brain processes things when your time's up, your time's up. If you're going to drown, you're not going to fall off from a building. Do you know what I mean? If whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I don't think you should ever test fate. You know what I mean? You shouldn't go jumping off a roof if someone's told you going to. You know what I mean? But the thing that's always really baffled me, even I remember thinking this from when I was young, that people talk about dangerous things that like they're never going to die. They're going to live forever because they're safe. I'm like, we're all dying at some point, but they talk about it as if like, oh, well, I'm safe, so I'm going to live forever, but you're taking a risk, so you're going to die at some point. It's like, it's not, we're all dying.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And 10 chances to 1, I'll probably bloody outlive you anyway. Do you know what I mean? Cancer or something else will get you.
Yeah.
And I remember doing I did a chat show once for a sponsor, like a motivational thing. And it's so, people are so quick to judge and say, like, we are selfish and it's hard on the family and all these things. But I made everybody in the room, I said, if you got a chance and whatever you believe in, whether that be God or whatever, sat you down at, say, 5-year old, when you're old enough to understand life and how long you live for and things like that. And if he sat you down and he said, right, you can live to 45, never work a day in your life, do exactly what you want, whatever hobby turns into a job, travel the world, live a life, or you can live to 75, graft your whole off, probably not retire till you're 65 or 70, and do one holiday a year or whatever. So I said, right, everybody in the room pick. And there was people that were 45, they were still standing up. So I says, what's the difference in that and what I've just offered you guys and what I'm doing? And it was like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you know anything about me and my channel. Like I said, I used to be a copper. I lost my mom about, God, 16 years ago. Wow, 16 years ago now. To cancer. And before she passed away, she said to me, I'd always had this dream about riding around the world, right? I'd seen The Long Way Round, Hugh McGregor, Charlie Borman, always wanted to do it, but never done it. I hadn't really, done any adventure travel, backpacking. I'd done none of that. I didn't even ride a motorbike at this point. And my mom just said to me, she said, look, don't get to my stage where you've exactly what you just said. You face the end. You regret what you've not done in life. We only get one chance that we know of. So look after those that you love, but live your life. And she made me promise, literally there and then, that I would do my bike test and I'd ride around the world. So that was it. And then I passed my bike test, saw her in the hospice, said I've done it. Gave her a big hug and she said, right, promise you'll do this trip. I did. And 5 days later, she lost a battle. So that sent me on this incredible journey since sort of 2008, where I've gone from being in the old bill to taking a break from the old bill, taking 2 years to ride around the world, coming back into the old bill, discovering it wasn't me anymore and I'd changed, and starting YouTube, and the channel grew and grew and grew and got to the point where I left just before COVID to go full time doing this malarkey. And and I live by our words of live your life. That's just like the best advice anyone's ever given me.
So my dad passed away with cancer as well.
I saw that,
when he was in getting his you used to meet such interesting people. So I used to fly home every 2 weeks to take him for his chemo. And I just loved, and I didn't want to meet them people, circumstance, but you met older people, and I love talking to older people because they talk about real things, real conversations. But there was this one day, and me and my dad were sitting there, and there was this same little old woman was always in, and her daughter was around my age at the time. And the woman was like, said exactly that. She says, I've not really done much of my life. She says, I so regret it. And she says, my daughter is like, so doesn't do anything, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't risk anything. And she says, it really worries me. And she turned around to my dad and she said, does you worry about that with your son? And my dad was like, he says, of all the things I worry about with my son, he says, him not doing things is definitely not at the top of the agenda. So it was like, and he used to always, one thing he always said was, life's not a rehearsal. This is it. Like you don't get another go. And when you give your body back, like no one else is going to use mine. Mine is done. It's done now. I'm 35.
Sold as seen. Yeah.
I'm not bothered when I'm done. I'm done, and that's it. Like I'll have used and done everything that I want. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's where contentment comes from. I believe, like that's what. But it just made me laugh. That made me think of that. Do you worry about that with your son?
There's a saying back in Scotland, and I'm sure there's variations of it all over the place. But what's meant for you won't go by you.
Yeah.
But I think you still have to. You still have to take those chances. You still have to recognize those opportunities and take that leap every now and then. But if you work for it, what's meant for you, it will come your way, whatever that is. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in it. definitely. And the older you get, the more that seems to be true. You know, like, oh, maybe these old buggers that used to say things, you're like, oh, maybe they had a point. Maybe they actually did know what they were talking about. We'll see. Right. How about we start tackling some questions? Because there's a shed ton of us to get through, shed ton of them to get through. Yeah. Right. Lovely job. Okay, so first off, we'll head across to the clan over on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Mark Fulcher. Oh, Mark Fulcher's a pal of mine.
The fact that you're laughing here already is not good.
Mate, honestly, he is your biggest fan. He is like a massive groupie for you, I tell you. Right, let's see what he said. Hey, up me ducks. I may have just had a little sex wee about this. Great to see the General on Bru Time. So a couple of very quick questions. One, does Lee think that he would have been half as famous on the socials if that big sexy bastard Neil wasn't part of the show?
Oh, that is brilliant. Yeah, Neil is I call him the housewife's favourite, bless him. And it's like he's only now, I don't know how, I've been doing YouTube a couple of years, but it's took Neil until now to understand that when I record something, all these guys see it. And then random people come up and ask him things that only me and Neil have been there doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, how do they know? How do they know that? How does he know that? And I'm like, it's been on YouTube, Neil. Oh, right. And it's like, now he's like, and he's the quietest, gentlest, most worrying creature. Like, if I was his side, I'd just go around knocking everybody out. But he's like this gentle giant. And it's like, he's starting now to understand that everybody wants to say hello to him because they like him. And he's just because he's shy and stuff, he struggled a bit with it at the start, but now I think he's actually, he's enjoying some of the conversations and stuff. So he's a good person. Yeah. Definitely, the channel would not be good without Neil.
You do a really good way of showing the characters, even just in your like paddock, in your team. You it's evident that there are some real characters in there, and that you are really close.
Yeah, I think it's really important to me, and the whole point of this was that it's like it's not like to have this fur coat. Like, everybody can watch all the fur and shiny stuff that's maybe shown on Eurosport and everything, but I want everybody to understand that it's not like that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hard-working people that don't get any, like, just because I'm the one stood on the podium or whatever. And I say this to riders and stuff all the time. Them guys have to do the same amount of work if their rider finishes 20th. They have to change the same tires, sort the same chain, put the same amount of fuel in, do the same set, all the same crap. So if you can't reward them in that sense, then what else? You can't, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's hard. But I'm glad that comes across that way, because that's what we want.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Mark, I know this is the first question that we're dealing with here. Everyone's asking this. What's the plans for next year? Northwest 200, TT, back in BSB?
I think I've got a job. I think. I'm not certain yet, but it looks like the news, if it's definitely sorted, it's going to be out before Christmas. So
awesome.
There's a few little things to sort out just yet, but it's definitely looking closer than it was 2 weeks ago. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be out before Christmas, and then maybe I can afford to buy Jesse some Christmas presents.
Oh, mate. God, I mean, I can't imagine. I suppose it's like being self-employed, isn't it? And just waiting for that next contract to come in. But it always astounds me. I
explained this to one of Christy's friends the other day. They were talking about like stress at work or something. And I was like, can you imagine never being fit to ever go into work and go, oh, I'm not really feeling it today, I can't bother? Or losing your job every single year and having to apply for that job. It might even be at the same place. You have to go in every November and apply for that job again. There's a load of other people that have probably tried harder than you, worked harder than you, hungrier than you, that want that job, and that happens every single year.
Yeah, I know. It always astounds me, like when it comes towards the end of the season, and then even further after the end of the season, like so many people just seem to be left in limbo. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't know how people sleep. Well, you probably don't sleep, but like I feel sick and I've got absolutely nothing to do with it. You know, you're like, Jesus, what's going to happen next?
it's harder when you're young because like when anybody throws you any little bit of a carrot, you think, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to be amazing. You start like plotting all these things in your head. And now, like, I'm like the polar opposite. Unless the bike's underneath me and running and I'm about to go out of pit lane, it hasn't happened. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like the polar opposite to what I was when I was like 17, 18, stuff like that. So
that's life, though, isn't it? That's life giving you the hard knocks along the way, and you realizing, you know, people's heart might be in the right places, but hearts don't sign contracts and pay the bills.
And the other hard thing is that people say all these things like, "Oh, why don't you just do this?" There's so much politics behind all of it as well, you know, with sponsors and brands and things. And if you can hear that noise, that's my dog. Drinking out of the dog bowl in the background. But yeah, that's the thing. They're like, why don't you just sign now, or why don't you release it now and everything? But there's like so many other factors in the process, you know, of that happening, which is, it frustrates the life out of me now, like 15 years in. So yeah, really can't really do much about it.
Right, that was it from Mark. He said he's off to put his lad into bed who's got chicken pox. Sorry to hear that, Mark. Best of luck. Owen Harries, evening gents. Hope you're doing well. So my question is, what if money was no object and easy access was available for the man in red and white? Would Santa bring to you this festive season? Motorbike related only.
You know what? This is so random, and I sound old saying it. I seen a couple of bikes at the bike show that I would never have had any interest in before, but now since I've like started doing a little bit of road riding, there was a Dot. Is it Dot motorcycles or something like a? I'm really into cafe racer like bobber style bikes, and there was one of them. I quite like the CCM bike as well. There's one or two of them that's quite nice like that. But so if it was a road bike, something like that. But if it was a race bike, it would be the one that me and Jim's restoring now, that YZR 500. If I could keep that, as my boss owns it. So if Santa delivered it to the wrong house and it got sent here instead, that would be good.
I never made it to any of the bike shows this year. What was there, apart from those ones you just mentioned, was there any like other standouts from the big manufacturers that you saw that you like the look of?
I see. I'm not really into. I like riding this Triumph adventure bike, and I quite like adventure bikes. But I just look at them all and think they're all too big. So if it's not got like a lowered seat, it sort of pisses me off. But I don't really look at any road bikes unless there's something like really quirky, because I think they all just look the same now, don't they? I went somewhere the other day to a private dealer, and there was a new Ducati, and the amount of wings on, I don't know what it's called, a super Leggero or something, whatever, but it was absolutely insane. You could put 5 cups of tea on the front of this thing. It was mental.
I've never understood that for road bikes, because it's like, do you not need to be doing something like 120 or 130 before the wings come into play? So it's like, well...
Yeah, but you can talk about that in the pub, can't you?
Of course you can. Of course you can, yeah. Because everyone can corner 120 mile an hour, can't they? They're always, you always hear it, don't you? Jesus. Right, cheers for that one, Owen. Robert Aitken. Hi, Lee. I'm a big fan of yours and a subscriber to your channel. My question is, have you managed to convince Jesse yet that you're a better racer than Uncle Paul?
No. It is mind blowing. I don't mind so much that he calls him Uncle Taran as well, or Taz, because Taran is the world superbike rider at the minute. But honest to God, if Mark Marquez came into my house, Jesse would convince him that Uncle Paul is faster than him. So his belief is he loves him. So I can't. It's cute. I can't really knock him for that. So
awesome.
Yeah. It's awesome. It is funny, to be fair, and he tells everybody he sees. And even now, when we ride trails or we're up at Whitsam's house riding or anything, like, I think I'm like, in Jesse's eyes, I'm like the lowest, because he'll just say, he'll even go, "Oh, Daddy, you just fall off the bike, so you can't
really,
you can't tell, you can't tell me what to do." And I'm like, I can't even argue with you. It's like, he listens to Grandad sooner than me on the trails bike. Uncle Paul knows more. He calls him Uncle Jim, but with him, I don't mind that because he does actually know more. So yeah, he's got quite a few people around him willing to tell him what to do.
What what will you think if Jesse decides he wants to race bikes?
I I'm not for it, if I'm honest. I don't really. I just because of the sheer suffering I've went through, and I know
Yeah.
I understand more now what I put my parents through, especially my mum. I like Christy's really open minded, and she says you can't show him this world. Like you say, he thinks that Jim or Paul or Taron are all his friends, so he thinks whatever he sees is completely normal. Like Jesse's upbringing is completely polar opposite to what my
Yeah.
upbringing was. So, but I think the only straw I'm clutching onto is the fact that he's a little bit more like Christy and he's a little bit
Mm.
more cautious. So I think that will hold him back inevitably when he does want to race. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that he stays more like Christy than me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
the
you
bank
can't.
balance is counting on it.
Oh yeah, you can't. I can't show him that world and then tell him he's not allowed. But yeah,
Mm.
he has to figure it out for himself, I think.
Yeah, fair one. Fair one. Yeah, it must be what's the word? Juxtaposition, isn't it? It's like it's your love and it's everything in your world, but then you're very aware of the realities of that world and consequences. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Cheers for that one, Robert. Next one, Patrick. Hi to you both. Two questions for Lee, please. What's happening with the team moving forward into 2025? Well, we touched on that. What's the chances of you taking part at next year's Macau GP on a Fireblade, perhaps?
Oh, that's a wonder why he's asked that. I don't. Macau is a good race, and I actually like the track. But the thought of going to the other, well, you've seen what's happened this year. Like to go to the other side of the world
Yeah.
for two 7:30 in the morning practices. Uh, it sounds arrogant saying this, no start money, but this is my job. The prize money is not really great. So I don't really see what, and the bikes are probably second or third on the plan of what's important. You know, the cars are definitely far more important than the
Mhm.
motorbikes and stuff as far as safety and everything goes. So I don't know if everything aligned up and it went. I would like to go back if it was a good team and stuff. I would like to. I like racing the track. But yeah, the way it was handled this year and stuff like that, it's just a long way to go, and it's justifying being away from home for a week as well.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's all them things. So yeah, I would like to if the proper opportunity came. I would like to go back, but just have to see what. I don't know why he's asked me on a Honda. I'd ride any bike. So yeah,
Yeah, me either, actually. Yeah. I thought
yeah,
maybe you knew something we didn't, but
yeah. Maybe he does. He knows something that I don't even know. So
what's that experience like of riding Macau? I mean, is it comparable to something like? I mean, actually, when I think about this, that's a really wanky question. I was thinking, is it comparable to something like the Isle of Man or the Northwest? But you're in the middle of a city. It's,
no, I think the hardest thing for people to understand you don't see on the TV. So for the first start finish line, left and a right or flat out, and then you turn right. So for the first mile, it's 4 lanes wide, and then it goes to 2 lanes, and then it goes to like a lane and a half, then back up to three, then to 1 lane. So that nowhere else in the world does the track suddenly go from this
yeah,
wide to this wide to this wide, and at all them points, there's Armco barriers. And it's weird because the Armco is the same colour the whole way around. So you're just in this little of whether it's yellow and green. I can't remember what colour it is, but it's like it's a really weird. So basically, you're jet lagged. Then you're up at 7:30 for practice. So you haven't really slept, and
you're
it's
selling it,
pretty
mate.
much
You're really selling it.
it's a recipe for disaster in it when you think about it.
How,
But
how do you learn that track?
it's not too bad because a lot of it is second gear, so it's not
Mm,
really fast. But there's one or two places that look a little bit similar, and the barrier then makes it look more similar. So you just have to go slow. Do you know what I mean? And gradually. I know that's hard to say, but yeah, and the more on, it's easier now with onboards and stuff like that there. But
mm,
yeah, it is quite. It's a technical track because the margins are so close as well.
yeah, yeah.
You thinking about having a go? Like,
No, God, no. I'm lucky to get the end of the bloody road here without coming off. Shush. Cheers for that one, Patrick. Next one, David McCracken. Hello, Lee. Such a pleasure to be able to ask you some questions. So, which rider do you most fear racing against on the road?
I don't know what he means by that. Does he mean like as in they're dangerous, or as in like because they're fast?
I think I would imagine he means because they're fast or committed.
Yeah. So I think, actually, for honesty, there's no lads that none of the top TT riders are dangerous, so that's easy to answer that. But I think, yeah, you have to just look at results as recent. So you've got Peter, Dean, Davey. Do you know what I mean? Michael,
Yeah.
they're probably the top four. So that's who you would see as, no matter whether you go to the Northwest or the TT right now, they're the two guys that you'd have to put in that bracket.
Gotcha. He says, what's the most challenging part of preparing for a race like the Northwest 200?
I'd say it's because of all the different bikes. And especially if you have new bikes there. So because bikes are so technically advanced now, so basically when you change things like your gear, and it's just something really simple, you have to change then your engine brake strategies, your clutch settings, all these other things off the back of it. And if you change the gear on a Thursday and the weather's not quite like what then the weather is on Saturday, so the grip level changes, so then them things change again. So there's a lot of preparation that was sort of the hardest thing when I was commentating last year. I knew all them things were going on, but trying to get that across to the public without sounding like I don't know what the right word is, but yeah, that was quite hard to do. So yeah, there's a lot of technical things go on in the background that people don't before you go to the event, and then while you're at the event, and then obviously weather throws things in as well. So that's probably the biggest thing, is jumping off different bikes and different settings on different bikes. That.
Now, you hear about all these settings and settings for the wet and settings for this bike and that bike. Are there like settings that everyone will use for a set circuit, or no, it's totally different for every rider, every condition?
Every rider is every setting's like rider dependent. So you've got so many things where different riders do things differently. Some, whether that be the braking strategy, like the way that they brake. So some people pull the brake really hard initially. Some people are progressive brakers, so that changes the pitch of the bike as when the bike pitches. So that changes the amount of rear contact on the ground. Yeah. That changes the amount of engine brake strategy and when it comes in, and when you would change gear. So yeah, there's loads and loads of things happening that, and that's sort of why when you build a good relationship with a good crew chief, I could say things to Roger, my crew chief, without really even saying something. Do you know what I mean? I could say like things going, oh yeah, I want this, and he'd know by my tone whether that would be 10% more or 20% more, or some things like that. So yeah, that's what sort of makes me laugh sometimes when I see, now that I've got more into this content world, of people testing a bike, like they go to a track and test a bike, and I'm thinking, you're like 20 seconds off a lap time. Do you know what I mean? So that's like me going on a cooking program and talking about a frying pan that I can't even boil an egg. Do you know what I mean? It's like do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Like, I can understand when they talk about feelings and all these things, but like when they're saying, oh, this bike's definitely better than last year's bike, I'm like, you could ride a gate round faster than what you're doing. So you can't tell like how. That's the bit that baffles me a little bit about some of them.
I'm very aware of that being. Cause I do bike reviews on my channel, but it's not a bike review channel. I do them because they get big views. But I'm very aware that I'm totally. I mean, I don't even do the press launch stuff. I just get a bike from a manufacturer or from a dealership and just take it on the road and just ride it the way I
that's
normally.
Completely that's you know what I mean? That interests me. Yeah, because you're actually. That's what I'm saying. You're translating the feeling you get off that bike, whether it be a comfort feeling or riding position,
Aye.
all these things, them things that matters. But you get people, content people, and they're like doing a tire test. I'm like,
I know.
the tire's not
I
even
know.
warm. Do you know
I
what I mean?
know.
I don't
I
know
know.
how that.
See, exactly what I think when I look at it. I'm like, what do you know? Like, you're
Yeah,
exactly what you just said. You're not pushing that anywhere near like
yeah.
its limit
It does
at all.
it does make me giggle. I think at times, like I sound like a miserable old man talking about this, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely
But
laugh.
I kind of thought that I was well aware, say, sort of 10 years ago, before YouTube and influencers even became influencers, like back in the day, there was very much a them and us type of thing between the traditional paper written journalists and us lot that were coming up onto YouTube, and you were almost like the laughing stock initially. And then once I think print realized, oh shit, things are moving
Yeah,
away from print and going there, then, I didn't really do the press release type stuff and launches and stuff, but a lot of my mates, TMF and Lamb Chops, Richie Vito, all that lot,
yeah,
they all do them, so they got to know a lot of these journos. And I now have gone into business with Simon Weir. I don't know if you know Simon Weir. He used to work at MCN and Bike and Ride and all these things. So I chat to him a lot about it, and he was saying to me like, like, it astonished me when I did a press launch once, how little time some people were spending on bikes, and then they were reviewing them. And that was from like an influencer right through to a
yeah,
professional journalist. And I was like, hang on a minute. Like, in my head, I was like, I need to put 500 or 1,000 miles on this bike and
yeah,
really get to know it. They were going out and doing like 20 minutes and coming back in and reviewing. And I'm like, how's this work? But it was interesting talking to the journals, because they were like, once you've spent time like 10, 15, 20 years doing this job, you very, very quickly start to get a feel for the chassis, get to feel for the
yeah,
suspension, and you can read it. You know how that bike acts and what it's doing. So what takes me 1,000 miles to sort of kind of go, can't really put it into words, but it makes me smile or it makes my bum
yeah.
sore. They
Yeah,
can
but
go, look, this.
on the other hand, right, and this is me coming from my racing mindset, but there's days you get up and you're just good. The bike feels good, you feel
Mm,
good, and everything, right? So if you're
yeah,
reviewing a bike and you've just got on it for 20 minutes, how do you know it's just one of them days where
yeah,
it's just not
yeah,
it's just not
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Aye.
That's the bit that makes me laugh. I'm like, you can't, no matter how savvy you are, and like I could get on a race bike and within 2 laps, I could tell you what I want to change on it straight
Mm,
away, like for seconds.
mm,
And that would be like probably within 2 seconds of a British Championship lap time, and that's sharp. But then some days I still couldn't tell you whether it was because I was feeling it
mhm.
that day or not. Do you know what I mean? So there's always that factor in it. But then I
Yeah.
suppose it's all smoke and mirrors anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
I totally get what you're saying there, because there's some days I've woke up and I've just had the cob on. I've got the right arse. I don't know why, and you've got this bike to review or test ride or whatever, and I go out and I'm just in a bad mood. So there's just you're not in a positive mindset anyway. So everything's bollocks. And
Yeah,
like I come home and I sit down to edit it, and you're just like, you've just got the arse with this. So
yeah,
it's almost like it's not really fair, is it? You need to. So I like to have a bike for say a week or something, because you can
yeah,
do that. You can go out when the days when you're feeling a bit not
yeah.
not really with it, and then other days when you're up for it, and you get more of a balanced opinion. I think, yeah, for sure.
See, I'd quite like to go on a one of them press days, like on a decent bike, but not tell anybody and just like have my helmet on and like then do a lap time of what like actually try and push the
Yeah, yeah.
bike and then come in and like listen to the review and everything of talking about the bike and then say, oh, what lap time did you do on the bike to get that opinion?
All right.
And then say, I just think that would be a mint vlog. Like, just don't tell anybody anything. Get their full feedback of, oh yeah, I didn't like this feeling and that feeling, and I couldn't possibly go any faster. And this was, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that would be hilarious. Like, just not tell anybody and go and push.
There's a vid idea then, Lee. Come on, it's got to
Yeah.
happen. It's got to happen. I mean, you must get invited to the launches and all that sort of stuff already. The PR teams must be in touch.
No, so it's only recently that I've sort of said that's something like I said to some people, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't even think to ask you because we wouldn't think you would come or whatever." So it's only, and I think it's probably too late now because them bike ones have just gone. It's only in the last few weeks, so yeah. So maybe I would like to do some stuff like that and just see. I might be useless at it. Do you know what I mean? But at least I'll be honest. I'll go, this is
Yeah.
not for me. I'll not say anything that I don't think is the truth. So yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I genuinely really do like your content. I genuinely think that style is really good. You know, that vlog style, it's coming back. It disappeared for such a long time, but that vlog style is coming, you know, holding the camera and
Yeah.
chatting to the camera. That's coming back now for sure. And yeah, I could see the old PR teams definitely, yeah, they're going to get in touch with you for sure for next year. 100%.
I
They
did
will.
ask some people about, like, I wanted to know how we could make the channel better, and I thought, oh, if I could bring like a camera person with me or something like that there. And it was really funny. About 80% of the people said no, you know, even if you are a bit unsteady with the camera or whatever, it feels better to be you and them just and not me, you and them, or whoever else is there. So if it's possible and stuff, yeah, I'm gonna try. And it's funny, like when some of I don't know if the guys were from Netflix or something, but they watched some of the vlogs and they're like, oh, we really like the the idea you're trying to go for, like the you know, like the rustic. And it's like, no, mate, I says, we literally don't know what we're doing. This is what it looks like when you don't know what you're doing. And he was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're going for this.
I'm making a job out of that. Come on.
Yeah, I was like, I appreciate you saying that's the theme, but it's like it's a lack of knowledge that creates this whole thing. But like Christy's self-taught, she's a PT and a nutritionist. She literally said, right, let's have a go at doing this. I'll try and learn how to edit, and that is it. Like I can just about send an email, so I cannot do anything.
Uh-huh.
I bring the camera with me, and that is the outcome of it. So yeah, that's
Brilliant.
how it's happened.
Well, Christy, you're doing a fantastic job. It's really good.
It's all Christy.
Genuine, really good. Do you want to edit some of my vids, please?
Yeah.
I've got such a backlog of content. Jesus. Takes forever, mate. Honestly. Christ. Yeah. Where were we there? David McCracken. Oh, Dave says also, do you have any favourite motorcycle routes around Northern Ireland? Asking for a friend. Davey's from Northern Ireland, so he's probably looking for some.
No, because I left Northern Ireland when I was 17 or 18. So even when we go home to race, like my mechanics will go, oh, how do I get to here? I'm like, I've got no idea, mate. I could get you anywhere in England, and I've got absolutely no idea. Where I'm from is, you'll know where this is, like Lough Erne and Enniskillen. So I would like to go ride round the Lower Lough and stuff like that if I ever do take a bike home. I've been thinking about wanting to do some stuff like that and then go right down the south of Ireland. I've never been down around Kerry or anywhere like that. So yeah, I would like to do that as well.
Oh, mate, a road trip back home. Wow. That would be a fantastic series.
We just need subtitles, wouldn't we, on the...
You're talking to the wrong bloke. My missus just looks at me most of the time. What? She's from like Nottingham way. What? Cheers to that, Davey. Next one, Peaky. How you doing, Brian? How am you both? To both of you. Peaky's from the Black Country. So after sharing the track a few times with Lee when testing in Spain, he is very fast. What would be the best track corner you've mastered? The one you love now but didn't before?
Holy smokes, that's a track corner. I don't really know the answer to that question.
He says his is Gerard's at Mallory. He loves it, but crashed a lot before he sorted it.
That's a costly one. I don't know. I'd probably Oulton Park's a really technical track to do a good lap time. I think when I got going good there and got like lap record and super sport and stuff, but that was like the whole track. That gave me a massive sense of, because you have to tie. It's so technical where turn 3 leads into 4, 5, and 6, 7 leads into 8. You know, there's lots of stuff that you have to get right. So yeah, probably Oulton as a whole just is my
That's your favourite circuit then? Yeah.
I think the best circuit to ride, if anyone gets a choice, is Spa in Belgium. That is a cracking track. So if you ever get a chance, go do a track day there.
Do you know Bob Collins?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So he's a mate of mine. I get my tires from him. He loves spa, doesn't he? He's
yeah,
like almost like a spa specialist, I suppose. Yeah.
yeah. It's a
He's
good.
always going on about it.
I rode Kenny Roberts Jr.'s 500 World
Oh,
Championship
wow.
bike round Spa, actually. Yeah, so maybe
Wow.
that's why I like the track, because that was the bike I rode there. But yeah, it's unbelievable. So if you ever get a chance to go, it's nice ride across and then have
Yeah.
a good rip
We
around.
I've got a tour business. I took a tour there a couple of years ago around the Ardennes, but
Yeah,
to be honest, we got our dates wrong. So we went a month earlier than we meant to. So we ended up, it all got booked up. So we ended up going at the start of March rather than the start of April. And it was cold, but we were all right. And we'd done a quick run out to the Nürburgring just to show people where the ring was and, get the picture and all that bollocks. And on the way back over the Ardennes forest, it literally in about 40 minutes, it changed from, I wouldn't say blue sky, but 10, 11 degrees and some sun and dry to black sky and then chunks of snow coming down. And within 40 minutes, it was just a total whiteout. We got stuck in the snow. People were dropping bikes. We had to abandon the bikes in the end and like get a taxi the last sort of 15 mile to Spa. And we got stuck there for 3 days.
that's immense.
I've never seen weather change like that. It was phenomenal. And all the locals were like, what the fuck are you doing on bikes at this time of year? And we're like, yeah, sorry.
Got the dates
Lesson learned.
wrong.
Yeah, lesson learned. But I wanted to go to Spa. I'd love to go to Spa and to the circuit and have a look.
Yeah.
Keep hearing how good it is. Cheers to that one, Brian. Next one, Patrick Collum. Evening, gents. Possibly a bit of left field question, but what are your relationships like with the other riders? Do you socialise with any away from racing, or is it more separate than that?
You allowed to swear on this channel?
Of course you are.
Oh no, they're all wankers. No, I'm joking. Yeah, it's like I say this quite often. So if you imagine if you lived in a little village, that's what BSB is. There's enough
Mhm.
people to be a little village. You don't talk to everybody in your village. You probably talk to three or four people, maybe five. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll say hello to most of them, but you wouldn't go round to all their houses and everything. So it's the same thing. There's just some people that I'd say there's not a lot that really hate each other, but obviously on track accidents sort of cause that. But yeah, most of us get on. But yeah, there's probably two or three that are better friends than some others and stuff like that. So yeah, can't
Very
give any more.
diplomatically. Very
I can't give any
diplomatic.
more juicy, juicy information.
Yet.
Yeah,
This is where we wish you had a couple of beers in you.
yeah.
Cheers for that one, Patrick. Andy's next. Evening both. Firstly, I have to say the honesty and openness Lee shared on his recovery from the Northwest was truly inspiring and moving. So thank you. First question. First question. You have been the team manager as well as the rider. With hindsight, do you think that impacted on your results? Oh,
uh, I don't know, to be honest. Well, not really, because when I took over the team, I won more races. So I can't really. Maybe I was just a good team manager and I was good to myself. So no, I don't. We had a really. When I say I run the team during the week. Like did all the crap jobs, paperwork, paid
yeah.
people, invoices, all that stuff. But once we turned up to the track, my crew chief, who previously run the team, ran the team again. So they never spoke to me about any of that. They writ everything down. Any parts that were used, anything like that, there was on a list, and they would leave the list in the truck. And then when I'd go back to the workshop Monday morning, I'd go through my list again, and I would turn into that job. So on a race weekend, there was never any traffic in my head. It was literally I was the rider again, and that
Yeah.
was that. We managed to work that quite well, I think. So yeah, I can't. All the races I didn't win, it was because I was team manager, and all the races I won was because it was me. Is that mean?
So, like, as a team manager, you're dealing with all the logistics then of right, we need to get more oil, we've used
Everything.
these parts, we've used Jesus Christ.
I did everything, yeah. So during the week, yeah, paid all the lads' invoices, booked all the hotels, ferries, motorhomes, everything. Yeah. I'm at the time I had no real other choice. And then now looking at it, I'm really grateful that I've learned how to do that, and my
Yeah.
appreciation for, because I had no real respect for team managers before that, because they all just wanted to play hardball or whatever. So now I've got a lot more. I think it's made me more of an understanding now as a rider, I think.
Yeah. Of their role. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Second question, Lee, can you share what your average daily routine is to maintain your level of fitness?
Weirdly, now at this time of year, I'm training more than I would ever be. So hold on, I'll just move something's coming for me. This time of year, I would normally stop or tone it down, and then just before New Year, I would start eating really well again, and then start training quite hard. But now, because of the situation, like I wasn't fully fit even at the end of the end of the year, like when I'd finished BSB, I couldn't like just stand on one leg. I couldn't stand on my bad leg and stuff like that. That's how weak my leg still was.
Wow.
Not that it was going to break, but there was muscle wastage and stuff like that. So now I'm probably 60% fitter than when I was trying to do them last few BSBs. Do you know what I mean? So now, like, so today I've done 3.5 hours on the bicycle today. If I wasn't doing this now, I would be just in doing some really lightweight stuff and some stretching. I'll do that big ride today, because then tomorrow Jesse's at home, and I'll only train probably for an hour and a half tomorrow, but that'll be more weight space. So I'll do that really early in the morning, get out, then we'll probably do some walking, or I'll do like a light spin tomorrow night. I nearly train at the minute, try and train every day, do that. But I'm quite lucky in the sense that I don't have to train to keep weight off. Like I love cycling. Like my real love in life is cycling. Yeah. It's and I want to do that much of it, or I have to stop doing it because I will take weight off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I struggle keeping mass on. So yeah, and like I said before, my wife is a PT and a nutritionist, so I'm so lucky in that sense that I've got no option to eat shit in my house. She's really healthy. So if I want to eat bad, I have to get a takeaway or I have to eat out, because my option of tea every day is a healthy option. So yeah, I'm lucky.
That's where I went wrongly. I should have married a PT. Never mind. What's your blowout meal? What's your cheat meal?
I really like Thai food. It's funny in it. Like, so when I was growing in Northern Ireland, like Chinese is a really normal thing. There's no Indians in Chinese or in Northern Ireland. It's all like Chinese food. But then in England, especially living up here, there's some really good Indian restaurants.
Yeah.
So probably, we normally try once a month or every 2 months, go out with Witham, and there's a few lads around here. We go to the Indian and stuff, and stuff our faces. And then but the trouble is, when you eat well all the time, when you do eat bad, it's like I get a hangover from eating bad food, never mind drinking beer. So
it has a big effect on your body.
Yeah, so probably Thai food or Indian is probably the two.
I'm like that with vegetables. I eat a carrot and it's out before I finished it. Anyway, the last one from Andy. He said, last question, asking for a friend to both of you. Oh, I see where this is going. If you were to decide to cycle around the UK, what would be your preparation and where would you choose to be your starting point? This is because I got drunk on this podcast right back at the start of COVID, and I said I was going to cycle around the UK. So now I have to do it. It's just fitting it in when I'm going to do it. But okay.
What was the guy called that asked that question? Andy.
Yeah.
Andy, it sounds to me like he's putting it off. So if you could just keep every single podcast ask the same question, and we're just going to shame him into it. If he sets off doing it, I'll go and do a bit with him. So
right, you're on. Yeah. Lee, you obviously don't know me, mate. When I say I'm going to do something, it happens. I'm going to do it. So I will do this, and I'll take you up on that. I'll give you a shout if you want to come do a little bit with me.
No bother, mate.
How would you prepare for it? Because I've said I'm not doing any training. I'm just getting my fat ass on a push bike and I'm setting off, and that's it. I'll train along the way.
You'd be fast downhill though, wouldn't you?
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah.
Honestly, like probably right now, I probably do between 10 and 15 hours riding a week anyway. So that I wouldn't say I'm fit to just go and set off and do that because you've no understanding of saddle sores, and if anything else went wrong, you're going to be sore. Do you know what I mean? Well, from riding around the world, you probably feel them things when you're not having to pedal. But I'd set off now. To be fair, not this time of year though. Probably summertime would be a bit better of an idea.
Well, I've said I'm going to do the coast. I'm going to ride around the coast. So I think that's about 4,500-5,000 mile, I think.
Hmm.
So, and my aim, I live down in the southeast.
Like
I live
45 days then.
Oh, yeah. About, for me, realistically, at the moment, I think it's 4 to 6 months because I'm under no illusion to begin with. I'm going to be doing 20, 30 miles for the first, a day for the first week or so, I think, till I sort my life out. I used to cycle about 10 stone ago. So, yeah, it's going to take a while. I've got a mate that's right into, he does Ironman and all that sort of stuff. He goes out for like 180-mile cycles for the day. I'm like, you're a fucking lunatic. I won't be doing that.
I did 50 miles a day on the mountain bike. So that's like doing 80, 90 mile on the road bike.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. I don't know why. And because where we live is beautiful around here. So yeah, it's nice.
Well, I'll give you a shout at some point. It's not going to be next year because I have this touring business. So it's trying to fit something like that in around like.
Funny you should say this, right? So when I was out on, so I've obviously known who you are for quite a while because of Philip Drainfield, the Paint Nation. That's who first told me about you. But then I was out a few weeks ago enduro riding in Spain, and with Lyndon, and he was going on and on about this guy, how awesome he was, and how great he was.
Best £100 I spent that.
Then he said your name, and I was like, "Oh, I know that guy. That's that. Yeah, I do know who you're talking about." But yeah, he was proper singing your praises. So he was, So he's good guy, good company. I enjoyed. We had such a laugh.
He's a laugh, and he's a scream.
There was me, James Whittam, Ian Simpson, Ian McPherson, and then like 6 or 7 other Scottish like absolute lunatics from Dalbeatty or up that way. And oh my God, we honestly just laughed for 3 days straight. Like the weather, it was when the floods and all were in Spain, so the weather was horrendous. But the banter, like the guys, I love the fact when the guys turned up, like I didn't know 6 or 7 of them, and the abuse started within the second that you said hello. It was just like absolute abuse. So it was really good.
I watched that vid. You were out with Alex, weren't you? The guide.
Yeah.
Jesus, he can ride, can't he? He's Moto 2, wasn't he? He was Moto 2 rider.
He raced Moto 2. Yeah, he was a really nice kid.
Yeah.
It was, but no, it was good fun. It's made me now. I'm going to actually get another enduro bike. I haven't had one for a few years, so I'm going to get another one.
And I need to say something, Lee. Like I went and did a couple of days on Toro Trail one time with Lyndon, and my onboard footage didn't look anything like your onboard footage. I looked like I was pushing my bike. I didn't know those bikes made that noise.
I was on the ground loads. It was it was funny. It was,
but it was moving. You were shifting. Jesus, I could have pushed my bike, I think. No, it's good fun down at Toro. Lyndon's top look. Right, where were we with this one? Ride with me. Evening both. Looking forward to this one. Could this turn into a new record time? As we know, Lee enjoys chatting. I had Mossy on here. Do you know Mossy, the journo, Chris Moss? You know, Mossy is like a legend in the journal circles. He was on for 7.5 hours.
No way.
No, it got to like half one in the. It got to about 1:30 in the morning, and I was like, Mossy, I need to go to bed, mate. So he was like, I'll come back for part 2. so I had to get him on again. Oh, mate, it's nuts. Funny guy though. If you ever get the chance, if you start doing press launches and all this sort of stuff, you will. I
might know him. I'm just so bad with Neil. This made me laugh. The other day, somebody said something to me, and they were like, "Oh, do you remember this?" And it was like 3 years ago. And he was going, "How can you not remember that?" I was like, "Mate, I've been dead since that happened." I says, "What do you want me?" And he just said, "Well, there's no need to be a dick about it." I was like, "I'm just telling you what exactly." I goes, I can't remember. I don't know. And he was like, all right then, whatever. It was just so, yeah, he had no comeback from that one. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're
You,
having it.
you win that. That's top trumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll
Awesome.
love Mossy when you get to meet him. He's a top bloke. Ride with me says, Lee, you've had an incredible journey in road racing. What's been the most memorable lesson you've learnt from racing?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes, yeah.
Um, I would say the hardest thing I learned was probably that people people treat you different for different reasons. You know what I mean? When people meet you for like my wife's so good at saying it, like she's like, Lee, they're talking to you like because you're Lee and not who they're talking to. Do you know what I mean? So you get
Right.
treated
Yeah.
different. So things happen in that sense. So I've probably the biggest lesson I've learned, there's probably three people in my life that I can ask a question. And the answer of that question is what's right for me and not anyone else's benefit. Because normally there's somebody connected in some shape or form that it's like it will benefit them if I did that or did this or whatever. So yeah, there's three people in the world that I can literally go to about different sort of things, and it's no. So that's probably the biggest thing I've learned is don't always take on what people say, and I think that's probably in real life as well, because I work on the theory that everybody gets a chance, and then when they blow that chance, that's it, done. But I'm like open arms until that happens, so I'm like really trusting. I'd let bloody strangers sleep in my house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm in that sense. So yeah, but once you bugger that, then that's you done type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you burn the bridge, then that's it. It's not. Yeah.
No, yeah.
I see that because I was very, I would say almost naive. I was very trusting all through my youth and growing up, and then I joined the old bill, and then you very quickly realize,
Oh yeah.
people have got something to hide a lot of the time, and then you see other people. I had a great childhood. I grew up with my mum and dad. My dad worked in the oil, and we grew up in the country up in the northeast of Scotland. So I had a great life, and I was aware people didn't have, such nice upbringings, but it was never, there was no, the nearest town to me was 15 mile away. So, it's like, it wasn't in my face. And then once I joined the old bill, I worked Peckham, southeast London. So you're right down in the grime, and it was like, holy fuck, you look at what other people's realities are, and you're like, Jesus Christ, you can see how some people think they've got no way out of certain situations, and geesh, wow. But that job made me very, very cynical, very untrusting of people for sure. So I sort of swung to the other end, and it was only going traveling again, taking myself out of that world and going out to the real world and just meeting people again.
I think my childhood made me like that, like, because God knows the things that were going on in Northern Ireland when I was growing up. But the good thing was that there was only really bad things happening. There was no real like small crime. Like in England, there's like no stabbings aren't small. There was never anything like that growing up. Things were getting blown up. People were getting shot. It was bad things, but like nothing was getting robbed, or there was no like bad things that would be like council estate stuff now, probably in England. So you're really trustworthy. Like I could be in the middle of nowhere and I would ask anybody anything. It would not enter my head and I've always been like that. And it blows my wife Christy's mind. She's like, Lee, how can you not just like, what part of your brain? I'm like, well, what's going to happen? Do you know what I mean? They're either they can't rob me because I've got nothing on me worth robbing, or like, what benefit are they going to get me killing me? There's literally no. That's the way my brain works, and to now, it's like done me okay. Do you know what I mean? So
I've kind of come back to that as well. It blew me away when I was traveling that, and I've said this ad nauseum on this podcast, but people are good, man. There are some arseholes out there for sure, and there are some downright horrible, evil people, but they are the real minority. The reason they make the headlines is because it's it is, you know, fairly rare for people to be doing these horrific things.
Yeah.
Most people just want to crack on with life and look after their family. And like you said, people will help. You know, like you can chap on someone's door in the middle of nowhere. And I've had people invite me in. They don't speak English. I don't speak whatever they speak. And people just look after you. People do whatever they
That
can.
that was probably the hardest thing for me moving to England when I first did was where I come from. Everybody talks. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Aye,
you could
aye,
go to Ireland on your own on a holiday, and
yeah,
I said you'll have the best. You will not be on your own for very long. You'll go into
yeah,
the pub. Somebody will want to know why you're there, what you're doing, what's happening, where you're from, and talk. And like where we live now in Yorkshire is not too bad. Like if I'm out walking and I say hello to someone, it drives me insane if they don't say hello back.
yeah.
So I'll go, "Are you having a nice day?" Like they have to answer that
Look him right in
question.
the eye, yeah.
Yeah, like Christy will be like, "Oh God." I'm like, but it's so annoying that someone. It's so easy to go, "Hiya," like,
Mhm.
"Are you all right? Yeah, yeah, have a nice day," and then you can almost see them go, "Oh, that's," you know what I mean? And then it's made me happier, they're happier, and that was for
Yeah,
free. There was no, do you know what I mean? Whereas like they just, I'm thinking, if you're not in a decent mood, out walking in the fresh air,
yeah.
what can possibly be? Yeah, it
It's
blows
true.
my mind.
London was so weird, man, being in London. You get on a tube in London and nobody looks you in the eye. If they do, they're fucking mental. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you body swerve them. But like no one looks anyone in the eye. No one says hello. They just head down or they're plugged in and they just crack on. Like their own little
I
bubble,
couldn't
keep out my way. Yeah, it's really weird.
stop.
Anyway, next one, Matt Sheen. Evening both. Bruce, I'm looking forward to this one. My question for Lee. After an accident myself and several operations on my left leg, it's taken me ages and lots of pain and mental struggles to get my confidence back whilst riding. Sure, going out for a gentle ride was easy, but getting back to the rider I was has been difficult to say the least. How in the heck do you top boys do it? I'm assuming you change riding style or position to overcome said mobility issues, but how do you get the confidence back to push hard?
I I think that is the only difference in, like, you see a good track day rider, and then you see, like, I teach some people, so I teach on Whittam's track days, and there'll be people that will do everything right. And they're like, "Oh, well, what do I need to go faster?" And it's like, it's just commitment. That's just, you have to
Mm.
brake later, brake harder, get on the throttle harder, get on. And that's the same thing. And this is like what I said about Jesse maybe being a bike racer. There's that thing in you, that the want,
Aye.
that you can't put that in there. And it's the same thing, like, even though like I got back at the end of the year and we finished, I think the best result was fourth or fifth or something like that. Like we're nearly at the front, and I'm raging because it's like we're 3/10 off what we should be. So all I can see is the negative of that three
Yeah.
tenths, and then all the, sorry, I forgot his name. What was the guy who said the
Matt.
question?
Matt.
All that Matt can see is the worry of doing the 3/10. That makes, so my brain. It's not that I'm trying to do that, but that's the way it looks at it, instead of the preservation way that would probably keep me alive for longer.
Yeah.
But that's just, and that's the only way I can sort of explain it. My brain, or most people's brain, and it has taken time. Like even like my data engineer can see that in the way I was riding. You know what I mean? There was a tiny, them 3/10 probably was commitment, as much as well, a lot of it was my body, but some of it will be in my head as well. So that you have
Mm.
to overcome that and get confidence. But the sad thing about confidence is it takes a year to come and 0.1 of a second to go. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's not really fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it a because you're obviously aware. Obviously, you're aware of the consequences. You know, there's only one step further you could go, I suppose, as a consequence, isn't there, from where you've been? But like, you're talking about commitment, say coming up to a corner. You must blank that out, and it's just. I mean, what are you
Yeah, see,
thinking about?
I think I that to I don't know why, or that's not in there. I don't know how to explain that, because
Yeah.
if it was in there, then you wouldn't be fast. So I
Mhm.
don't know how, and I'm glad that it's like, that was one of my big worries. I actually thought coming back that I might forget how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it sounds stupid saying that now, but that's how like bad and mental state I was in. I was like, oh, what if I've woke up out of this coma now, and what if I can't I don't know how to ride a motorbike. Do you know what I mean? So all I could see was the worry of not being fast,
Yeah.
and not the worry of getting to be fast. Do you know what I mean? That's all the negative. And even now, the hunger in me now is tenfold from when I finished there just at the end of the
Right,
season. Do you know what I mean?
you can see it with the way you're talking. It's like, get the boy on a bike. Jeez. Right, cheers for that, Matt. Next one, Simon Lewis. Hi, Bruce and Lee. So pleased to see Lee on Bru Time. I love the video blogs and your very open and honest content. You recently tried an adventure bike. Any thoughts for doing an adventure somewhere?
So I did a little trip last week that's going to be out this. It was supposed to be out this week. We've had a nightmare with basically with a company that's being involved in the vlog. I don't know if you call it sponsoring or whatever, but it's been a nightmare. It was supposed to come out this week, but it's not. So that was my first little trip away on the bike. But yeah, I do want to. I wanted to plan. So the guys that I went to Spain with, Ian Simpson, the ex-racer, so they live up near Dalbeatty, and there's a really big forestry system around there. So, but he says there's quite a lot of good fire roads and everything. I want to take this up there with Whittam. Whittam's got a Tenere, I think. Take the two bikes up, go for a ride up through the Deals and stuff like that, and then do a day or two up there riding with them guys and something. So that's something I'd like to do over the winter, and then maybe go on up to Scotland and stuff as well while they're permitting.
Awesome.
But I don't know when the bike's due to go back. But yeah, I am enjoying having it at the minute, to be honest.
That's the Rally Pro, isn't it? You've got the 900. Yeah. I haven't ridden the new one, but I went out to the States at the start of the year. I've got a pal of mine that lives over there now, and he had some connections with Triumph. So he had I think it's about a 2018, 2019 900 Rally Pro. So he gave that to me, and I had it for like 2 weeks just to go and do a road trip all around the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was phenomenal. It was all road that I did. I'm not really a fan of off road, but it was all tarmac. Wow, man, it was incredible. You wouldn't think America's got twisty roads like that, but it was stunning.
The only thing I figured out the heated grips, the heated seat, all this stuff. I can't figure out how to turn off there's like rider aids to like make it wheelie, so it just cuts the throttle off. So if anybody listening to this knows how to turn that off, just message me or tell me. And if anyone from Triumph's listening, I'm not going to do that.
I think if you whack it in, has it got like a gravel mode or an adventure mode or something?
Adventure, gravel, rain. There's.
So I think will gravel not turn off the traction?
Or maybe.
So you can then do your wheelies.
I didn't know there was like anti-wheelie on it. Like wheel speed sensors, so the front and the rear. So if they
I've got the GS, I've got the 1300 GS, and that if you have the pro settings on it, you get like dynamic and you get dynamic pro and all that. In the pro settings, you can then turn off like the wheelie control on it, and it changes. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Right, cheers for that one, Simon. Last one for patron Gary Barker. Bruce, would you let Lee take the Gixxer for a lap round the Isle of Man circuit? Of course I would. I did my trip on a G6R1000, which I've still got, and it's just gone back on the road now. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to take that for a spin around the Isle of Man.
With you you want to get on the back for a spin?
Jesus. We'll wheelie the entire way, I think, if I get on the back. Yeah, I'll do that. I would do that. Actually,
we just ratchet strap you on.
Mate, that Gixxer has had three new subframes. I kept snapping the rear subframe on the trip. It was constantly going. So the last one that went on, a stunt company made one for me and sent it out to Japan. It's like solid aluminium. But by the time I finished the trip, there was literally like one bolt still holding it to the frame. So I'm not sure I'd like to get on the back of that. But you're more than welcome to take it for a spin. Gary also says, with Lee recently riding a Tiger 900, would he be up for doing a tour somewhere with you? Oh, that's very nice. I'll do a job.
The guys mentioned going over to Simo and Whittam are talking about with Lyndon. He goes over to what country's up from Spain?
Morocco.
Morocco, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Mate,
I'd be
Morocco's
keen for
mint.
that. Maybe that sounded quite cool.
Right, Linden. Yeah, I've done
I'll
Morocco a
be
few times with Linden.
Yeah,
That's a lot of fun. But
yeah,
don't let him talk you into going in like July or the start of
yeah.
August. It's just like 49 degrees, man. It's in,
Nah, I'm not keen on that.
yeah, we weren't, but it was hot, real hot. Right, that's all the Patreon questions. We've still got a couple on Insta and Facebook. Have you got time?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Right, folks, thank you very much for leaving those questions over on the clan. We'll head to Instagram next. Oh, blimey, where's the questions gone? There we go. Right. Road racing fan. Love watching Lee Johnston's vlogs. Funny, entertaining, and informative too. Would Lee like to see Jesse? Oh, we covered this. Would Lee like to see Jesse get into racing? Or like me, I'm a hypocrite when it comes to my adult teens and two wheels. We covered that, didn't we?
Yeah. Yes,
His
but no.
choice.
But yes, but no.
Yeah, but no but.
Yeah.
Arctic Craig or Arctic Crack. This is pure class. Two of my favourite worlds coming together for the crack. The big question, Centra Deli or Greg's? Is this a Northern Irish thing?
Oh yeah. So right, you won't know this, right? So in a filling station in Northern Ireland, you can get fucking everything. Like you could a full fried breakfast, a full dinner, chicken dinner, everything in the filling station. Whereas in England, you have to come. Like now, there's obviously big service stations, but it'll be a Greg's, a McDonald's, or whatever. You can go in there and get like everything in a hot food counter. So you could have chicken curry, all these things in a. So yeah, that's like when my mechanics go home to do the Northwest. The first thing they get over the night boat, they get off on the Sunday morning or whatever. They go straight to the Centra at the track, and they're like, "This is why have we not got this in England? It's like for £3 or £4 or whatever. They've got a full fried breakfast, and yeah. So for anyone listening, they need to go to Northern Ireland to get a filling station fried breakfast.
Right, you're on. Greg's can do one then.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I kept this one in here. He says CJG199. He says, any news on 2025 plans? Now, I knew there were loads of questions about that.
Yeah.
He's got a second part on it where he says, is there any scope for people to be involved in the team? If so, I don't know if he's touting for a job or crowdfunding backing, that type of thing. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
So I had a thought about doing that. I mentioned about crowdfunding and Patreon and stuff. And then like I spoke to one of them three people that I mentioned earlier that answered me honestly. And I've decided not to go down that route because I think people give me enough by just watching the channel and that's what I wanted out of it. So yeah, if you can still do that and support that, that's amazing. As far as a job goes, I don't know because I don't have a job yet. But if I do have a job, then maybe we can. I don't want to sound selfish, but I need to get my own job first before.
Absolutely.
Before
well, without you, there's no team, is there? So
yeah.
we need a racer.
Yeah. So if it does happen, then yeah, who knows if he's interested in doing a job? Maybe we need a cameraman. Can you do that?
There you go. Watch this space. If you can, drop him a line. There you go. CJG199. Drop Lee a line. Yeah, Patreon. Now, I had exactly the same attitude to you when someone first told me about Patreon. I was just like, well, why would anyone want to do it in the first place? I couldn't wrap my head around why people would want to financially support me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know
but I think you're different because you're actually giving genuine content back all the time, whereas I'm fucking around and showing people my life, and then almost like I'm really lucky to be able to race a motorbike. So I think I should be the one giving the entertainment back. Do you know what I mean? For that, by letting them watch and stuff. That's just the way my brain works.
Yeah,
but I'm getting paid to do that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the difference in like I completely understand what you're doing, and if I was in your position, I would be doing the same thing. But for me, I just couldn't. Yeah, I don't really know. I couldn't see the right method of it, and I couldn't commit to giving out genuine content for Patreons and stuff that not everybody was, because I'm so fucking unorganized to be able to do that. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I think you would be very surprised at the level of commitment you would get from certain people within your community, and they wouldn't expect. And that's what I said to people. Is just like, when I first started Patreon, I still was full-time copper, and I was just like
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to
Yeah.
do anything special for you. I don't know what I can do over and above just putting a video out on YouTube. People were just like, we're not supporting you to get something extra. We're supporting you because we want to help, and we just want to feel part of what you're doing. And I would whack the nail to the door
That's
that's
really
exactly
nice, isn't it?
again, people are good, and that'll be exactly the same attitude you'd get if you were to start one. I almost guarantee it. In fact, I do guarantee it. You would get people. You would get people who would just be like, we just want to be involved. We're never going to race. We're never going to be part of a race team. But by helping to support you, even if it's like £2 a month, do you know what I mean? Like, I think I have 500 odd patrons who pay anywhere from $1 to £50 a month, and it adds up. It really does add up. So it could be fuel, you know what I mean? Or oil or tires but anyway, that's your decision to make. R1 Fast and Fearless. Would you ever race at Armoy?
That's a strong name, that, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
What does he do when he changes his bike?
There is no changing your mind.
No, there's actually a really interesting answer to this question. So like I said, my dad passed away, but when he passed away or when he was ill, the only thing he asked me to promise was that I wouldn't do any more road racing than what I do now or did do. And that was because I'd got to the point where people, if I went to somewhere like Armoy, they would give me good start money to go. There would be a load of press, and I would automatically think that I have to be at the front straight away. And then that puts risk factor through the roof. Whereas everybody else that normally starts before they have a name. Like, it's rare for a top sort of named rider to just start at a new track, if that makes sense. So that was one thing he made me promise. And it was for years that they asked me to go, and the Southern 100 as well. And they were like offering me good money and things. And I think they're lovely. The people that run them two clubs are really nice men as well. And I had to, after a few years, I think he thought I was like playing a bit of hardball just to get more money.
Yeah.
And I said, I was like, listen, this is why. And then I think he felt a bit bad. But that's why I've never done any more. I promised my dad that I wouldn't. So that was
fair one, Paul. Fair one.
Yeah, that was it. So that's the answer.
Rich S1000XR. What took Lee so long to get a bike license?
I think I just had no interest. And honestly, living in England, it's so dangerous. Like, I do a lot of road cycling as well as mountain biking.
Yeah.
And people that like my van. So when I had to go to the workshop, my van's just about 2-year-old now, and it's done 65,000 miles. So I do a lot of driving. Mm-hmm. And the things you see in the morning on the M62, there's women putting makeup on, eating their breakfast. It's like, it is mental. And the thought of, so that's probably why. And then it's only now because of like having an interest in YouTube and press things and stuff like this here. That's what sort of drove it. And then I've sort of realized, oh wait, there's actually quiet roads and nice places to ride as well. So that's what took so long. I was afraid.
Going back to cycling, where's your favorite place or country? Anywhere in the world, where's your favorite place to cycle, or you want to cycle in that you've not been to yet?
So I love cycling in Spain because the law is different in Spain. That if there's a cyclist involved in a crash, it's pretty much always the car driver's fault. So if you see it's the rules are different. So if you ever see a car in Spain passing a cyclist, he will be on the opposite side of the road, and that's why. Whereas in England, like today, I got a couple of people past me, and there wasn't even anything on the other side of the road, and they were like on me, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's just it drives me insane. And I know people are in a rush and everything, but that 20 seconds or 10 seconds of possibly knocking somebody off or killing someone it's just, this country's just done for. That's the other thing that made me laugh. When I first moved in, like in Northern Ireland, there's no real such thing as road rage, or there didn't used to be, because you could pull up beside some guy, and if they were in the paramilitary or they were like bad people, like the last thing you want to do is like go off. Whereas when I first moved in, like everybody was beeping and
Yeah.
effing, and I'm like, what the hell? And no one would even dare get out. Like they just do all this shouting, and then
Yeah.
nobody seems to do anything else. It's like
Yeah.
blows my mind. Yeah.
It's interesting. That's funny that you said about Northern Ireland. But then you go to the States and like everyone's bloody armed over there, but it doesn't stop them getting out the car and literally having a pop, doesn't it? When you see some of the road rage over there.
Yeah.
Right. Next one, Ben Searle 85. Looking forward to this. My question would be, if the TT course was run in reverse, which corner, if any, would you think would be good? Also, which corner do you think would be tasty, the best one to hit in the reverse?
So I've a couple of times when I used to go to the Manx. So when the TT's on, if anybody doesn't know this, the mountain is always just one way. But when the Manx is on, sometimes that doesn't happen. So you can drive back over the mountain. So I used to stay with one of my friends in Ramsey, and I used to drive back over the mountain. And honest to God, I had no idea where I was going. It was like I was on a different planet. It just makes no sense going the opposite, because all I ever did was go one direction. So I can't even, maybe somewhere like that on the mountain, but then any of the corners that open out going the right way or tightening up to go the other way. So they're like the opposite to, like even the likes of the veranda. So something like that, you'd be really fast in, and then it would get tighter and tighter as you went round. Maybe the veranda. No, Ballygarry, because it would open up as well at both sides. Yeah, so somewhere like Ballygarry, yeah.
Bloody hell! I mean, I've literally tootled round the TT side, even at 50 mile an hour on the back section. How the fuck do you boys do it? Like, you're doing it 100 flat out, and I'm doing it at 50 mile an hour on an adventure bike, and it's bumpy. So how do you stay on the bike?
Doesn't really make sense, does it? Like, it sometimes, even when I'm like helping someone, or like there's not very many people, I don't really like talking to people, because then you feel bad if something ever happened. But I'd be just like, oh yeah, I know, like say like through Kirkmichael Village, and I'm like, yeah, you're just flat out in fifth and sixth gear here now, and it's a 30 mile an hour. You can't even see right through the village. I'm like, how? Jesus. I'll be saying it, and then I go, how is that possible? Like, how did we get through here when this is like this? And it just, it's funny, isn't it?
Wow. Fair play to you boys. Christ. Philic01. Is that Philic01? Philk01. Absolute legend. What a class act. Everything he does is well worth oh, well, there you go. That's all it was. He's no question. He's just saying that. EVV.
That was for you, not me.
Yeah, all right. EVV Williams. Looking forward to it. Has Lee sorted the issue with allergies and vision on the Isle of Man that got in the way the last time round?
Yeah, so do you want the truth?
Go on.
So basically at the time, that was actually the seal cracked on my bell helmet that I was contracted to, and it dried out the gland in my eye. And for about a month after that, I couldn't blink or anything. It was horrendously sore.
Jesus.
But because of my contract, I couldn't say anything. So
Wow.
The bell helmet. Yeah, that's what caused allergies.
Bloody hell.
And honestly, do you know what? The amount of people, like you say, people are lovely. The amount of people that I had, like asking, like saying nice things to me, saying, "Oh, I hope you get sorted. Have you tried this ointment and everything?"
And you just want to say the truth.
Oh, yeah, I just want to say this helmet was a piece of shit and it leaked, and that's what it was.
Oh, mate.
That's the first time I've ever said that out in front of anything. So yeah, there you go.
Jeez, I can't even imagine what that's like. Bloody hell. Like the speeds that you boys are doing.
Pain of it. I remember I did when the boys all made me promise, and Christy, that I would pull in, and I think Michael caught me on the first half of the lap. So I did 128.6 or something on a 600, and only because he was in front of me and I could see him, and I just followed him because it was easier when he was there than if he wasn't. So, and then I got into the pits and I was like, holy, I can't see anything. So that was the end of that was the end of
That
the TT.
that must have been almost as painful as McGuinness rubbing his bell end on the inside of his zip.
Oh, can you imagine? And he's done. I've been unfortunate enough to see him naked. He's done well to get it up to the zip. Never mind rubbing it on the inside of the zip.
And moving on. Right, that's all the Instagram ones, and there's a couple over on Facebook. You got the time for them?
Yeah.
Lovely. Right, okay. So this is across on Facebook. Again, I'll leave all these socials as well down below. First one, Owen Lane. Hi, Bruce. After your channel, of course, I love watching Lee's content. It's great to see him encouraging his son to get into riding. Would he be happy to see... another one. Would he be happy to see him road racing when he's older? Well, we covered that one.
No, not road racing. Track racing, the other one was fine, but no, not a chance.
What would you do if he said, though? Like...
I'd be heartbroken.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know, like, my mum is really strong and hard and quiet and would not say anything. And and Christy's obviously a very strong person because she's had to deal with this, but like Christy would worry a lot more than my mum, or she would show worry. So it would just, it'd kill her. Yeah. It would definitely kill her.
Oh, wow.
And it would be my fault as well. So that would not be good.
Oh, total rock in a hard place there, mate. Christ. Sheesh. I'm just having a quick pre-read of these, Lee, as we're going, and everyone's asking what's happening next year. So I think there's one here, Richard Harris. He asks about next year, and then he's got, and what's it like having James Whittam as a father?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I tell you, like, Jim lives probably a mile away from me. And Matt Roberts, the other presenter of Eurosport so he lives less than that away. And they're both from here. And honest to God, when I moved here, like my wife's probably from about 5 miles away, and they're like, it's like owning the yellow pages on speed dial. So everything that I need them to, when they were this will make you laugh. So when they were commentating this year at the TT live, they were both texting plumbers sorting out something for a leak that I had in my house while the super stock race was on.
Really?
Like this, yeah, honest to God, it was so funny. Like, because Jim sorted one, but then he couldn't get the bits because he was going on holiday the next day. So then he told Matt that was sat beside him, and then he got his friend to come down while Christy was ringing me. So I was on the radio, Matt was in the TV booth, and Whittam was commentating all while we were sorting out a plumber for my house. So yeah, he's Jim's so good, and he jokes all the time. He's got loads of space up at the airfield, and I keep my camper there. And Jesse he's like, in Jesse's head, he's the coolest person alive because he flies a plane, he drives a tractor, he rides a motorbike, he's got all this stuff, and he's
on TV.
It's just he thinks he's the coolest man alive, which he is, I suppose. So he's handy to have.
Awesome. I mean, I had a quick scout through some of the questions, well, the last lot of questions there, and it's everybody just asking what's the plans for next year, and then someone's asking about Bishop's Court races, Sunflower Trophy.
Oh yeah, so that happens at the end of every year, but it's
another road. Yeah,
the weather's normally always crap and it's raining, and I love going home to race because it's the only time I get to race in front of people from home and stuff like that. So I would like to do more of it, but it's just because any team I ride for is an English team, and then the expense to get over there and everything is massive. So but maybe next year.
Gotcha. Well, that was from Connor Henry. So Connor, cheers for the question, pal. Right, dude, that's us. Got through all the questions.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Mate, thank you for spending your evening with us. Much appreciated, man. Really enjoyed it. Absolutely. If you fancy doing something on the channels, I'll obviously bite your hand off or something like that. And if we can talk Lyndon into doing a Morocco thing, see you there.
Yeah. So, Jim and Ian Simpson, and they're well keen for doing it, and they're hilarious. So if we could get them tied in, and like Lyndon and stuff, we'll definitely get it penciled in.
Sounds like a plan. And then I'll give you a shout when I'm doing this cycle.
I'll not hold my breath on that one.
Mate, it's happening.
At least if you start start in Scotland and then it's downhill the whole way, innit?
But then I've got to go all the way back up.
Yeah. You could just go down the way twice. That'll be the same thing, both sides.
It's cheating. It's cheating.
Yeah.
Said I'm doing it. I've got to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. Much appreciated. Feel free before we go. The floor's yours. Plug whatever you like.
No, I'm just going to say thank you very much for having me, and thanks for all the nice comments. It always does surprise me how nice people are. So thank you very much for all the support and stuff. And like I said, hopefully in the next few weeks, we're going to have some news if I actually have a job. And yeah, there's a vlog, an adventure vlog coming out next Monday night. So check that out and you'll see my bad riding skills. Actually, yeah, on that is going to be the first time I've ever rode in the dark. So yeah, it's never ceases to amaze me how little experience I actually have of riding a motorbike.
Well, I'll do the plug in then, folks. If you look at the show notes or if you look at the YouTube description, there'll be links there to Lee's channel and all the socials. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. I'm not kidding you. It really is good. Very, very good. So check that out. And yeah, thanks for coming on, pal. Folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Keep doing your thing. Get on out there whenever you can. Look after those that you love. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha! Right, dude, let me stop that.